Greetings and welcome to this episode of Bring It On. My name is Bob Hayes and I'm going to be your show host for today. It's great to be back. It's been a couple of years since we've been able to do any shows because of all of you know, COVID has kind of taken over the way we've run our life. But we're back here at Whitman-Hanson Community Access. We're going to be running several different types of show, whether they be something that's going on in the towns of Whitman and Hanson, whether it is political or non-political or things that you'd like to see. So if you listen to the end of the show, I'll give you my contact information so you can contact me if you would like to be on a show. But we're back and we're happy to do shows. Today, I have Ryan Cadres with me. And the reason I have Ryan here is it's Cerebral Palsy Month to bring awareness to cerebral palsy. And Ryan has cerebral palsy. Ryan is a Hanson-born kid. His father was from Whitman, his mom was from Hanson. So they're Whitman-Hansonites, ladies and gentlemen, and he has got a good awareness because he has cerebral palsy about what goes on with it. And he'd like to bring it. He's an advocate for this disorder, and he'd like to let you know how it's affected his life. And as you see with today's show, as we move on, we will be going along with chronologically how Ryan has dealt with it. So Ryan, congratulations. Thanks for coming, bud.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
And I should probably disclose, Ryan and I have a long time relationship with basketball and football and coaching. And so I know Ryan pretty well, and it's great to have him here today. He's had some serious challenges. He's overcome them. I couldn't be any prouder of him. Ryan, have at it.
Thanks for having me, Bob. I really, really appreciate having me.
What is cerebral palsy? A lot of people probably don't understand what it is, as I didn't until I did the research. I mean, I know that you've had it. It's affected your life tremendously. And could you go into a little bit of that, Ryan?
Sure. So cerebral palsy is it's pretty much like a birth defect. Happens during pregnancy or during labor. And it's a group of muscles that just won't really fire. It's more of a brain disorder than anything else, a little brain damage or brain development, and my muscles just don't fire the way they should. And there's all different types of cerebral palsy. I consider myself one of the lucky people because I'm able to walk and talk, but there are people out there who are confined to wheelchairs that are nonverbal, and I'm here today and for this whole month to bring awareness, but to stop the stigma of people with disabilities.
Ryan, how does cerebral palsy affect? I know that we have some people that are 70 years old that have it, and we also have people that it is taken at 10 years old. How has it affected your life as far as your age?
Yeah, cerebral palsy is it's not a disease or a disability that's gonna progress. Like I've been told, mine is pretty good. I'm very fortunate to be where I am today. Through very rigorous physical therapy when I was younger and occupational therapy. I'm able to do what I do today. As a young toddler, I didn't really know what was going on until I was about in second grade. Second grade was when I really got a grasp of what I was doing, and what was wrong with me. And that was because I was, going to floating hospital out, in Boston every 6 months to get checkups. And I think I was in second grade when I had my second surgery, and I had a heel lengthening surgery where they went into my left leg, took some ligaments from my left and turned it over to my right so I could walk better, because prior to me having that surgery, I would always walk on my toes. So as a toddler, I started to grasp the little concept of things. As I got older, people, kids, would look at me differently. I mean, had friends and stuff, but, as I got into middle schools, I think everyone knows middle school can be tough for anyone. It's very tough for a kid with a disability. You want to be like anyone else. You want to be able to play sports, or you want to be able to do stuff. You want to be included. you want to have a girlfriend, whatever. And when you're a little bit different in middle school, they tend to, shy away from you.
Middle school years are probably the toughest years of any student's life, with a disability or without a disability, so I can't even fathom how that had to be. But let's go on chronologically through your years, middle school to high school to...
Yeah, so like I said, middle school, is when I really started to get a grasp of who I was and, what my disability was. And, I was a pretty good little athlete, growing up in the town of Hanson. My dad was very involved. I have a younger brother, Kevin, who was very involved in athletics, and I was very involved, playing myself. As I got older, and my body, my body started to change a little bit, like everyone does, when they hit puberty. My body changed differently as well as my friends, and they got stronger and bigger, and I got taller, and a little bit stronger, but my muscles again don't fire as normal people. So going through middle school it was a tough adjustment. I went from being a okay athlete to a guy that just had to sit back and watch people on the sidelines. And when I moved into high school, that's where I really started to carve my path. I wasn't good enough athletically to to make a basketball team or a baseball team, and my parents wouldn't allow me to play football, which back then, early 90s, Whitman Hanson football, powerhouse, right? And but I really started to carve my path as a team manager for these sports, and it kind of led into where I am today, Bob. So.
Well, I know, Ryan, you spent a great deal of time during your high school years doing team management and supporting every one of the athletes that was there, and it probably led you to where you are today.
Yep.
But let's go on from high school and talk about, I know that you did a ton of coaching and stuff, and how student athletes, how you tried to help them and explain to them what was going on with this awful disorder called cerebral palsy.
Yeah, so after I left Whitman Hanson in 1996, I was going to Bridgewater State, to pursue a teaching degree, and I decided to stay on, with Coach Bancroft and Coach Sweeney at the time, who was as a basketball coach, and because I knew coaching is something I wanted to do, and they were more than glad to have me, and I just really like to bring a message to the kids, positive message. I don't consider myself any type of inspiration. I just like to tell my story and, let kids know hey, there's going to be obstacles along the way, whether you have a disability or not, and try to show them hey, I had this obstacle, and it, takes me a lot of time to, it might have took me 3 or 4 times to get over it, but I finally got over it. And I think most people will, understand that. I mean, I think, we all have obstacles, and if you just have the right passion and the right makeup, I think anyone can get over an obstacle. So, and yeah.
So that was your message, basically: never give up, never, ever, keep on moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that to this day I as a parent and as a still coach and someone who's very involved in the Hanson community in youth sports, for what I like to call a second time around, because the first time I had no kids when I was in my early 20s, and now I got my 2 own kids, and I feel like I'm doing it all over again.
Well, Ryan, let's back up a little bit to after you went to Bridgewater State.
Yep.
In your life after Bridgewater State. Didn't you become a teacher at Whitman Hanson? Can we talk a little bit about that and how you've inspired others to continue on with their path? And let's talk about a little bit of the education part that you were involved in, because I know you were deeply involved. Like I said, you can tell the viewing audience what you did at Whitman Hanson, and then I believe you had a stint at Cardinal Spellman. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we kind of talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And after I graduated in 2001 from Bridgewater State, I did a few years in the food industry where my dad was a bigwig, and it just wasn't for me. I was then approached by Dr. McEwen about coming on and being some sort of a teacher or helping me try to get my my licensure. And I was fortunate enough to my first year I was a paraprofessional in the Whitman Hanson school system, and the following year I was hired as the Whitman Middle School health teacher. And for 5 years I taught health, loved it. I think I drew more energy off the kids than they drew off of me, but I think it was a really give and take relationship. Like I would give, they would take, and vice versa. And it was really cool. And unfortunately that had to come to an end because of state mandates and stuff, and I understand that. I'm hopefully I can get back into that at some point. But I think I was put on this earth to teach and to bring awareness to people about my disability. And then in 2011 I was hired by Cardinal Spellman to run their phys ed program, and did that for about 8 years. And because of low enrollment, they had to let me go. But during those stints, I was a coach. I coached on. I was a coach of football. Football team, and the baseball team at Whitman Hanson from 2004 to 2012, and I was at Cardinal Spellman for a while too. And it's something that, even with a disability, much like mine, where I don't have a whole lot of use of my right side of my body, I was able to find adaptations to hit in field or to do something on the football field, and I think the kids really took to that. I think they looked at it and they're like, wow, look at this guy. And again, by no means am I an inspiration. I'm doing it because I love it, and it's humbling to have people come up to me and say, wow, I don't believe what you're doing with what you have, but it's super fun, and it's that's why I do it. I don't do it for the glam or the glitz. I mean, we all know coaches at the high school level don't get paid a whole heck of a lot, and and I just love telling my story and trying to make people aware that people with a disability like mine were able, I think that we're able to do something. And I think the biggest thing is people with disabilities want to be included, like, inside the community, right? People with disabilities tend to be shunned away. Ryan couldn't do that, or Ryan can't do that, or I'd love to ask Ryan, but he might have difficulty with that. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for me because I do feel that I can pretty much do anything. It might take me a little bit longer, or I might have to find some sort of adaptation, but I'm going to find a way to do it.
Well, Ryan, it's inspiring, and I'm sure it's inspired a tremendous amount of athletes to be better, to do better, to look from what your experiences are and move forward with it. I have seen the Ryan Cadres that I'm talking with right now do tons of things. I mean, I know a guy plays golf. I took up golf late in life, and you've been golfing since you were a kid, and you played some baseball, and you did a tremendous amount of things. And the coaching. And what about the refereeing? Can we talk? I mean, when did you take up refereeing basketball games? In fact, I think, and I hate to date shows, but I guess we're going to date this one, you're doing a tournament game tonight.
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate enough to, be part of the MIA tournament tonight, and I'm looking forward to it tonight. But to answer your question, Bob, I took up refereeing in 2000, in the year 2000, and how that all came about was I was doing scoreboards at the old Whitman Hanson High School for Hanson youth travel basketball, and I had some referees come in. We know who they are. A couple of friends of ours, and I would sit there at the table and I would just watch them and study them, and I would ask them questions, and I would study them and watch what they're doing, and then when I got comfortable enough, I would even question them. Hey, why'd you call that? Or you made the wrong call. And after a couple weeks, I was 17 at the time. One of them approached me and be like, "Hey, when you turn 18, you're going to take the test." And I'm like, I don't know about that. And he goes, "No, you should really be taking the test." And credit to that person, because he didn't look at me as a person with a disability. He just looked at me as, hey, this is a young kid who loves the game of basketball and has a good set of, has a good idea of the rules, and it's something that we could have. And so after a few years of getting pushed to do it, I finally decided to take it. And at the time I think I was like 22, and the only reason why I waited that long was it had nothing to do with my disability, but it had to do with, at that young age, I didn't know how to handle coaches and fans and adults, because as yourself being a coach, it's very competitive out there, and people take it like it's the NCAA finals.
Yeah, so. It's the Super Bowl every night.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, Ryan, it's been quite a few years, and we kind of grew up on that scoreboard, running youth basketball and youth football. But you refereed all through the youth games, and then you went on into high school. And like I said, this evening, yep, you're doing a varsity tournament game. So you talking about you overcoming and adapting. And aren't you currently the president of the IBO, which is the International Associations of Basketball Officials? Did I get that right?
Yeah. So,
or am I going to get yelled at from Connie?
No. So like you said, I am currently the, and I only have another month in my term, but I'm currently the, president of Board 54. IBO, and that's the International of Approved Basketball Officials, and I'm the president of that board, and it's just out of Plymouth County. So we house all of I think 27 towns in Plymouth County. So I'm the president of that, which is again humbling, but to answer your question about the high school, high school athletics is, especially the officiating. I mean, it's a blast, and I'll be honest. I go into a game, and people ask me, "Do you still get nervous?" And my answer is, I get nervous for the first 45 minutes, and that's because I walk into a gym and I kind of look around and you see some people point, or I walk in, as I walk with a little, with a limp, and my hand kind of is cupped, and so I'm very easy to point out. So I do get nervous because you hear the whispers, or you see the pointing, and whether they like me as an official or they don't like me, you see the pointing and you're just wondering what they're pointing at. Is it, hey, great, we have Ryan tonight, love having him? Or is it, oh, great, we have Ryan and he's got a disability, and we don't know what we're going to get because he might not be as fast as the other person, or or his hand.
Well, this is why you do what you do, though, to make this cerebral palsy awareness that people can function with handicaps. And God knows that you've overcome a tremendous handicap, and we're very, very proud of you, because you're a Hanson guy, or a Whitman guy, or a Whitman Hanson guy, or whatever we want to call you.
Let's just call me a Panther Bob.
Yeah, well, you bleed red and black, but wait a minute now. There is a stint where I heard you were coaching a little bit in Scituate.
Yeah, so the last 3 years I've been fortunate enough to go down to Scituate and coach with Herb Devine, who is also a Whitman Hanson person. I think that's one of the reasons why I went, is I've known Herb for a long time, longer than I've known you, Bob, and we got some other coaches down there that are Panthers as well, Keith Sweeney and Mike Avini and Kevin Regan, and Scituate's kind of like home. It's my home away from home these days when I'm down there and on the football field.
What's with the green, Rye? I'm wearing a green shirt because it's Cerebral Palsy month.
Yeah.
But what's with the green? And we both have green pins on them. By the way,
yep.
Did I lose it? Oh, here it is. By the way, thank you for the pin. What are we looking for? I mean, how did you come about a Cerebral Palsy month? How did you find out about this, or what did you do? Sure. I mean, obviously it goes along with the disorder that you have. But.
Sure. So, I found out about this Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month probably about 5 years ago. Like we all find out about things these days, social media, right?
Social media, baby.
Yep, and
cell phones and iPads.
Yep, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, right? And and every year I would just kind of like, oh great, it's so, and I would joke with my wife and be like, hey, it's Cerebral Palsy Awareness. Maybe you might want to go get me a present, or or something, and she'd just shake her head in disgust and walk away. But and I really haven't really done anything until last year, and let me explain why I'm doing this. There's two reasons. I just spoke to you about how I walk into a gym and I see people pointing. Last year I was reffing a game, and one of my fellow officials came up to me and said, "Hey, Ryan, do you have a chance to talk with me?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And I thought it was going to be a board issue, being president. I thought he was going to ask something about the board. And he goes, "Hey, I just want to make you aware that, you came in to ref a varsity game after my JV game last year, and a fan had grabbed him and said, hey, did you see this referee walk in? He's walking with a limp and his hand's kind of bent and cupped, and how is he going to ref a varsity game?" So he made me aware of that situation. Not sure why, but I'm going to be honest that for 2 weeks out of my referee stint, it really kind of stuck with me. And for those 2 weeks, I was under, I was, every time I went to the gym, I was constantly looking around, seeing who's pointing, who's whatever, and then so that's reason number why I'm, reason number one I'm doing this. But the second reason is for my children. Sorry if I get a little emotional.
That's okay. That's what we're here for. We want people to be aware of what
Sure.
happens with cerebral palsy and
Sure.
the side effects. And
Yeah.
I wanted to get into your children part, and that's where we're going next.
Right.
How
So-
does it affect your family? And
Yeah,
all of the
so
above?
the second reason why I'm doing this is for my children. It was probably about a year and a half ago. I was out, my son Owen, he's really big into athletics. I wonder why.
Well, it rubs off the tree and the tree and the apple, or the apple and the tree, right?
Absolutely. And so we were playing catch, and anyone that knows me knows I play baseball out of the form of California pitcher Jim Abbott, who was born without a right limb, or a right hand, I should say. And so we're playing catch, and I'm doing my glove switch, and now Owen is a very intuitive kid, and he would ask me to do my thing, and but he had questions, and I knew those questions were going to come. So this year, what I wanted to do, or last year, is instead of making jokes about cerebral palsy, have bring awareness and show my kids that even though dad's a little different, he can still make a difference.
That's fabulous. And that as your kids grow, that's going to happen. And you have a daughter too, correct?
Yeah, Chloe's the apple of my eye. Just love her to death. And right now she just knows, she wears that green pin every day to school right now, and she just knows right now dad has a bad hand. So
Talking about the 25th, I believe, is the actual date. Isn't that have some significance to cerebral palsy? Everybody's going to wear green.
Yeah.
We're all going to be in the school district wearing green.
Yeah.
Hit on that for a minute.
So, Cerebral Palsy Day is March 25th, which I believe is a Friday this week. And what I did last year through my social media account was tell people to, stand with me and my family and wear green in support of cerebral palsy. And again, yes, it's the green for cerebral palsy, but not just for cerebral palsy, but for all disabilities, right? And what I did for my friends and family was, if you what I called flood my Facebook green, shoot me a picture of you wearing a green shirt or whatever. I'd put you in a raffle, and I've had local businesses step up in the past and give me gift certificates to their restaurants or whatever they want to offer.
To raffle off.
Yeah.
To keep
raffle off.
To raise the awareness. If the people watching the show wanted to help cerebral palsy in any way, how would they go about that? Should they contact you, or is there a national cerebral palsy awareness program? Is it something they could find online?
Yeah, if you wanted to donate to cerebral palsy, that'd be great. It's ucp.org. I'm not about donating money myself. Mine's about bringing awareness, and my whole thing is helping, bringing awareness to the community that's helped me so much. So I want to give back to them, and still trying to find a way to give back to the community. Last year I was able to give a couple T-shirts out to Whitman-Hanson football, and
I think I was a recipient of one of those T-shirts.
Yeah,
it happens to be green.
Yeah, absolutely. It was super fun. I think you twisted my arm a little bit, but that's okay. I'm glad to do it.
Cad, that has to happen every so often. You need a little push. God knows over the years we've had some interaction, and it's been a tremendous experience for me, right, as well as it has probably for you. Right. The awareness of, I never knew anything about cerebral palsy until you brought it to my attention. Right. And it's definitely a tremendously tough disorder. You've overcome it. I think you have a great support base from the people of Whitman and Hanson that know you. You most certainly have given back in the community. I know that I think you're the president of baseball now in Hanson, and that's a big thing, because a lot of people, there's a lot involved with all of the above to get that relationship going and moving and still overcome the disability that you have. And so thank you for what you do, because you're not just representing cerebral palsy, but as you said several times, you're representing disability, people with disability, how they can overcome and succeed in things that they do. And you're the poster child for that. So, Ryan, thank you for coming in. We've got to kind of wrap it up, but as I said, a half hour goes real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Bob Hayes, and if you'd like to be on Bring It On, you can contact me at 617-538-0189, or my email address is bobhayes4433@gmail.com. If there's anything you would like to see on Bring It On, whether it be political, whether it be local, it's got to be local to Whitman and Hanson, something you think. I know there are a lot of things coming up in both towns that we're going to be discussing in the very near future. So any of those things, call me or email me. And if you don't necessarily have to be on the show, if you have your passion and you want to come and sit and be on a cable show, Whitman Hanson Community Access is here for you. They've been very, very supportive of both of these communities. They do basketball, football, soccer. They do all kinds of games and all kinds of different things. There are different show hosts. So please do not be afraid to come on to Bring It On. Thank you for watching.